It's a story.
Yeah.
We'll find things in the story.
We'll find things.
Hey everybody, it's Pastor Los. Glad to join you for another Gospel Unplugged. And this week I am also joined by my stellar colleague and
Close personal friend, Mark James Dixon.
and we are coming toward, but not quite at, the end of our summer investigating this movement that was against all odds, from the little ragtag group of disciples who could barely believe or keep together to a church that will soon be sort of thrust upon the world stage in the Roman capital of the world, of the known world. And this is the story of how Paul, who has wanted desperately to get to Rome, sort of in another against all odds moments. I think Paul had hoped to fundraise to have a missionary journey take him. That doesn't work out as well as he had hoped. But he does end up being sent to Rome for trial. So that's kind of the backstory, that he has been arrested and questioned, and when they find out he's a Roman citizen, he can appeal to have a trial before in the capital city, and that's what's happening here. So he's going to get there one way or another. So we're reading from chapter 23, beginning with verses 10 and 11, and then jumping to verse 23. St. Luke writes, "Now when the dissension became violent, the tribune, learning that they would tear Paul to pieces, ordered that soldiers to go down, take him by force, and bring him into the barracks. That night the Lord stood near Paul and said, 'Keep up your courage, for just as you have testified for me in Jerusalem, so you must bear witness also in Rome.' Then the tribune summoned two of the centurions and said, 'Get ready to leave by 9 o'clock tonight for Caesarea with 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen. Also provide mounts for Paul to ride, and take him safely to Felix, the governor.' And he wrote a letter to this effect: 'Claudius Lysias, to His Excellency the Governor Felix, greetings. This man was seized by the Jews and was about to be killed by them, but when I learned that he was a Roman citizen, I came with the guard and rescued him. Since I wanted to know the charge for which they accused him, I had him brought to their council. I found that he was accused concerning questions of their law, but was charged with nothing deserving death or imprisonment. When I was informed that there would be a plot against the man, I sent him to you at once, ordering his accusers also to state before you what they have against him. So the soldiers, according to their instructions, took Paul and brought him during the night to Antipatris.'" It's not the end of the story, but it's the end of where we'll be reading, because Paul makes it safely to a place where he can now have a Roman trial.
Due process.
Due process. Yes, two very important words. This is like, as I mentioned before, kind of a critical moment. Paul desperately wants to Rome. He's been trying by hook or by crook. It's by crook.
Turns out. Yeah.
That he goes. And the tribune, or the military commander, as we were talking about earlier, assumes Paul kind of deserves something, and then discovers he's a Roman citizen and that there's this whole group of people who want him dead, and he does not want that to happen to a Roman citizen, so sends him on with this letter. Curious what details, what part of the story, what jumped out at you?
Well, I mean, first, this is just, it feels cinematic. It feels like, I don't know, like a Steven Spielberg movie or Tom Hanks' Bridge of Spies or something. And we skipped over maybe the most cinematic piece of this part of the story, which is the plot to kill Paul and summon him back for like an additional inquiry so we can gather more information. But really, there's going to be a band of people lying in wait who've taken an oath to kill him and won't eat or drink until they do. And so then his nephew comes and hears this plot, and Paul sends him with a centurion to warn the commander, and then the commander has his own plot, and it's almost like Martin Luther at the Wartburg, and we're going to send some people to kidnap you and spirit you away, and they do that. I mean, it's a lot of intrigue. It's really like a movie. And the other thing I was thinking as you were setting the story up for the people is there's like an almost Jonah element to it. Like, Jonah doesn't want to go here. God sends a fish to swallow him and spit him up here. Paul does want to get here in such and such a way, and the circumstances that bring him there are, all of these complicated things. Like, you're going to get where God is calling you to serve, to proclaim one way or the other, the belly of a fish, on the back of a cavalry soldier. You're going to get there somehow. It's interesting.
Yeah, and that's been kind of an ongoing theme in Acts, that the Spirit will finally find a way.
Yeah.
And it's not always the way you want. So we heard earlier in the summer, Philip, who's had this smashing success as a preacher in the city, next stop is a desert road in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But just in time to meet an Ethiopian eunuch. So there is this kind of ongoing. I love, maybe my favorite line, and it's one of my favorite lines in the whole of the book of Acts, is Paul, like, unsure of what's going to happen. This is before he's been rescued. And just a note, like, take 100 men, and 200 spearmen, 70 horses. Like, he is very much aware a whole lot of people want Paul dead.
Yeah.
And so to kind of imagine those are the straits that Paul finds himself in. That night the Lord said before him, keep up your courage. Just as you have testified for me in Jerusalem, so you must bear witness also in Rome. So this kind of encouragement, but also like encouragement not in general, like buck up, but you've got more work to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure you have a chance to do it, which is kind of cool. It gets me thinking about times in our life where it's not just like help. God isn't just saying, keep your courage up, or I'll answer your plea for help. I have things for you to do.
Yeah.
And so I will be with you for a purpose.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, not the cat poster, hang in there, buddy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm sending you out prepared for a task. Yeah, it's almost like encouraging, you could say equipping, like, you have work to do. I go with you and I equip you for that work.
Yeah. And another theme, not just in Acts, but all of, Moses comes up with excuse after excuse after excuse to not go back to Egypt and the Pharaoh, and God keeps saying, you don't speak well, I'll send Aaron. You're worried they won't believe you? I'll give you a little magic to do.
Yeah, yeah, right.
But I will be with you. I know you're afraid. You have work to do.
Yeah, you cannot make an excuse to get out of this.
Yeah, which might lead to at least one of the questions that I've been playing with as I think about, this kind of cinematic, fantastical story. What work might the Lord be calling you to? And what would you need by means of being equipped or encouragement or courage to do that work? And I think it can feel presumptuous to imagine God is working through us, but that is one of the hallmark promises of Luther, that it isn't always as dramatic as testifying before the governor or going back to Pharaoh. It might be helping a neighbor or being faithful in your job or keeping a promise that you've made or seeing someone who has less than you and advocating for them. But what work might you imagine God is calling you to? And by way...
I have one. I can give you one. This is one, the young people, I didn't know if that was an alley-oop or not. The young people right now talk about something that is a familiar expression, but the butterfly effect is just returned in vogue. And, that's the idea that, daily mundane circumstances can come together to cause something really big or important in your life. And there's some of that in this story, like God working through overheard conversations and tribunals and letters to governors from military commanders to bring Paul to this place where his message can hit the epicenter of a major empire. And so I think it might be interesting for people to take a little inventory of their lives and see, if you look backwards, what are some of the sort of ordinary things that you can say have pulled your story into God's story, or that's not a butterfly effect, but a Holy Spirit effect that's put you in a place to do something important for people in your life, maybe people that you're surprised to find in your life.
And it's amazing when you start thinking about it, how many of those you find, whether it's the person you end up with as a partner or your employment or where you ended up living or all kinds of little nudges, Holy Spirit nudges. And I think there's real value in kind of looking back and naming them, not just being grateful, but naming them and then giving thanks for them. Yeah. All right, so all that and more coming your way this Sunday. We will see you in church.